Happy New Year.
2025, how does it feel, everyone? How does it feel?
Just like 2021.
It's like 2021.
Yeah, man. It's still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of work to do.
I know. Trust me.
You know?
Ron, I've invited one of our trustees to join in, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Who's that? Who's the trustee?
Alison Appiah. I sent her the same link, so maybe she'll use that to.
So when she gets in, we will definitely let her in.
Okay, lovely. Yeah.
Denise, how are you? Where are you from? You want to introduce yourself?
Who's that?
Denise.
Denise Backus. We can't hear you. We see you unmuted, but we can't really hear you. Okay. Well, hey, everybody. I'm Ron Story, and I am the head of product at SpeakerHUB. And this is our daily 12 o'clock meeting where we do support calls, answer questions, talk about how to get booked more, help people to get booked more, celebrate our wins. It's our basic daily meetup. We call it co-working. A lot of our current users, they hop on and they send pitches while we're on this call, but they also get their questions and needs met while they're here regarding getting booked. So we usually like to introduce anyone who's new. So Jasmine is all the way from Toronto. Richard is from the UK. And they have their own particular topics. We would love to know what you do, Denise, so that we can make references or introduce you to other people that are looking for speakers on your topic. But we meet every day. And this is where me, the head of product, along with Angela, who is over operations at SpeakerHUB, where we all hop on and we get people booked. To kind of bring you all up to speed, over the last 6 years, I've booked over 10,000 meetings with meeting planners, podcast hosts, so forth and so on for our done-for-you customers. That's not including anybody that's used our software. So, yeah, this is what we do. Saran, good to see you. Jadika, good to see you. Happy New Year to everyone. And let's open it up if you all have any questions. Denise, if you want to introduce yourself, you feel free. We still can't hear you for some reason. I think you may have to change the microphone on your, when you click on audio, there's a little arrow pointing up, and you may want to, where it says select the microphone, pick the microphone that works best on your computer because we can't hear you.
Ron, right. I think I was trying to sign in to get your advice, help from somebody on how to actually sign up because I've got stuck.
Yep. So were you able to grab a time on my calendar so that we could meet to walk through that?
I did put it down, but I can't find the link anymore. So
let me see what time. I may have you on here. Yeah, I have you for today at 2:30. So it's the same room. At 2:30, you'll just come back to the same room and we'll get it resolved at that point. Because I think the
it's now 5 p.m.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, it's I'm sorry, 2:30 my time. So, but let's get through the other questions, and if we have some time at the end, we may be able to avoid that meeting. Is that cool?
Yep.
Right? Because I know we had some issues with you sharing the screen the last time, so it's kind of hard to walk through if we can't see the screen that you're using. Right? Mm-hmm. So any other questions, comments, or concerns while we're getting started? Nope. Okay. All right. So let's talk about 2025. So how many people have their goals? Oh, here comes Allison right now. Right. Okay. How many people have their goals and things set for 2025? Anybody? Right. Okay. Cool. Allison, nice to meet you.
Hi, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So with 2025 being here, I love that people are already working on their goals. And the best thing in the world is to make those goals action-based, right? So instead of saying, I want to get to $100,000, we want to break that down to how many speeches would it take to get you to $100,000, or how many podcast appearances would it take for you to get to $100,000, or how many training sessions do you need to sell to get to $100,000? For Richard, how many podcasts does he need to go on to get a certain number of people who are in the audience to buy his product or service? Or how many conferences does he need to go and advertise at, or maybe speak at, to get people to buy his environmental products? So that's really what I want to kind of answer questions about today, because I've learned that if you have the right goal but the wrong activity, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all. And so yeah, want to kind of talk through those things. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? No.
I'll ask a question.
Yeah.
What's the right activity then?
Right. So, well, the first thing is, what's the goal, right? So if you got to have where you're going first before we can give you the roadmap, right? So let's talk about what the 2025 goal would be for you. Allison, you got to tell us.
Yeah. Well, my personal goal is, I'm a trustee of Richard's charity, the Good Gardeners International. My personal goal is to set up a coaching business. That's my personal goal.
Is to set up a coaching business. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how many clients do you want?
Well, that's a good question, because I haven't even thought about that.
Okay. Right. So let's say personally, do you know how much income you need to make in order for you to deem that? Let's say we're January 2nd, 2026. For you to be able to look back at 2025 and say, man, that was a great year. I knocked it out of the park. What would that revenue number need to be?
£20,000.
Okay, total, or per month, or per week, per year?
Well, £20,000, that would be a huge amount of money to me, to be honest. £20,000 at the end of the year, that'd be a great amount of money.
Perfect. That is perfect, right? And what do you charge for your coaching?
Well, I'm only at the beginning, to be honest. So I haven't started actually. I've been doing practice sessions. I haven't actually started putting myself out there.
Okay. So if you were to start charging for your practice sessions, would you allow someone to do it for £1 per session, or would it be £100 per session?
Minimum of £80 a session.
Okay, right. So now we have a goal. We have $20,000, and if we divide that into
Pounds.
20,000 pounds. Sorry about that. So I'm going to bring up the calculator here on my phone.
It's not much
So we got
different.
20,000 pounds, and we divide that by $80 a session. You need to do 250 coaching sessions this year, right? Okay. Now, if someone signs up with you, are they just signing up for one, or are they signing up for multiple sessions?
Well, my goal is to do a challenge, and to do a free challenge and try and get one-to-one clients on the basis of that. But what I really like to do is do group coaching, and then do a challenge, try and get set a group of people to do group coaching, and then also give the opportunity for each people in that group coaching to do one-on-one sessions. But it doesn't sound like a lot of sessions, 250, but obviously I want to maximize things.
Okay. But so let's go back to the original question is, when someone purchases sessions, are they just buying one, or are they required to buy a package of 5, 10, 15, 20 sessions with you?
I'm hoping that people start with one session and then they book 12 sessions.
Okay. So do you want to sell one, or do you want to sell 12?
I want to sell 12.
Okay. Right. So now we can take those 250 and divide it by the 12 session packs. And then you need 21 clients to do that.
I only need 20 people. That's nothing.
Right? So you can do that 2 people a month.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 2 people a month will get you to your goal, pretty much. Now, what we would actually tell you to do is to get 3 people a month. Because in a year, since you're not getting them all at the same time, you're not starting off January with those 20 people, you're only going to collect 78% of the revenue. Because you're going to have 1 person in January, 3 people in February, 5 people in March, 8 people in April. Do you see what I mean? You're going to stack up to that.
Absolutely.
So over a year's time, you'll only collect the maximum is 78% of the revenue. Does that
Wow.
make sense?
Makes
So
perfect
you would
sense.
actually need 30 some people so that you end up at maximum capacity, you would end up generating 30,000 pounds. But when you look at how you added them, it will ending up at that 20,000 mark. Does that make sense?
I can understand why you're successful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I run a lot of numbers that drive my team crazy because they're like, dude, like, all you talking about is these numbers. Yes, the numbers are what matters. We're going to drive the number,
I
right?
haven't even thought
So,
about any of that. And it's
yeah,
a
but
great way to think about it.
yep, that's the way we have to do it because a goal without a strategy is just a wish. And we've all wished for things in the past where we said, oh, I'm going to do this. And then we never got it. And we're like, well, why didn't we get there? Well, I didn't have the exact strategy. I didn't know exactly what I needed to be doing on a daily basis, right? So here at SpeakerHUB, what we always talk about is how many pitches do you need to send on a daily basis to get an outcome, which is getting a podcast booking or getting an association booking or getting a conference booking or getting in the press. We want to get that down to what's your number. Jasmine has a particular number that's going to be different than Jadika's because they are in 2 different parts of the world and they're talking about 2 different subjects, right? So we can give you the overall average, but then it's up to you to find your recipe. What's the number that works for Daryl? What's the number that works for Sayron? Because everybody doesn't want 20,000 pounds. Some people want their stuff in dollars. Some people want their stuff in yen. Some people want their stuff in euros. So that's why your number is more important than anybody else's. I can look at what Daryl is doing as a measuring stick of what's possible, but if what Daryl wants and what I want are not the same, I still have to find my number and respect hers. Does that make sense? So it's like I respect that she can send 500 pitches a week. Holy crap. At least I know that's possible, right? But she's trying to get to this. I ain't trying to get there. I still got a full-time job and I'm doing this other thing. I can only do 100 a week and I'm okay with that because that's my number. Respect Daryl's number, but pursue mine. Does that make sense? Is that helpful, Allison?
Absolutely. Thank you.
So one of the big things that we talk about is the space formula. We need a strategy, like where are we going and how are we going to get there? We need a process, and then we need accountability. If you don't have the strategy, the process, and accountability, it's hard to get consistent outcomes or consistent expectations, right? We'll always be, man, I tried, but it's not working. Does that make sense? So, George, it's nice to meet you. Glad to see you on. I don't know if this is your first time with us. If you would like to unmute and introduce yourself, that would be great. I would love to know who you are, where you are.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon. I'm George Wharton. I'm here in support of my lovely wife, Dr. Daryl Wharton. We've been having some technical issues trying to get me onto SpeakerHUB to help support her.
Okay, yeah, let's get that. We'll get that worked out almost immediately. So let's see if there are any other questions about the goals thing, and then we'll help you with this tech support thing, and then we'll get back into the goals conversation. Any other questions on this side about goals? Right. So what I want to do while I'm helping them, can everyone in their own little world over there write down what your number goal is for the year? Right. Hey, this is the revenue we want to do. And then after I get done with Daryl and George, we'll come back and we'll look at those goals. We'll go to everyone and we'll find out what are the activities that need to be done. Is that cool? So then we're not starting the year in the dark. We're starting the year with a purpose. We're pushing forward. We're going the direction we need to go. So let's go ahead and Daryl, if you want to share your screen.
I realize I'm muted. Give me a second.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay.
Bart, good to see you. Happy New Year. Congratulations on the win with Ohio State yesterday.
All right, thank you.
That game was over in the first quarter. It was terrible. I was like, holy crap, but I think Oregon barely won the first game. So Oregon should have been 12-1, and Ohio State should have been 12-1 too, and that should have just been the rubber match rematch. But
Yeah.
But that's why they do the playoffs, because you got to play the games. You can't win the game on paper. You got to get your butt on that field. In the same way, we can't win 2025 on paper. We got to get our butts on stages. We got to get out of here and get our messages out there for our coaching businesses. So Daryl, all we're seeing is a black line so far.
Okay.
So you may have to open up the window or share the window, the particular window where with the browser with SpeakerHUB in it.
All right, let me see.
Yep. So we can only see the top at this point. It's like really, really skinny.
Really small?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop the share and then do the share again.
Okay.
It was only showing like the title of the page. Was I the only person that was seeing that, or was looking like that? Okay.
That's weird. All right, and I have to. You want me to? Let me sign in.
Well, pick the browser window and share the browser window. So if you're using Chrome, when it asks to share, click on Chrome.
Oh, got it. It was so many Chromes to choose from, and I'm like,
you got to pick the one that's open, or you can just share the entire desktop if you want, and then we can find that.
All right, that's what I'll do. Let me try it again. Share.
Jadika, good to see you. Jadika is wearing head wrap number 276 this week. She has consecutively changed her head wraps every day since October. And so we always celebrate those, right?
What about now?
Yep, we can see it perfectly now. So go ahead and go to speakerhub.com. Right, and go ahead and click the login button there and SpeakerHUB Pro. Right, and then go ahead and hit continue. Oh no, you have your email and password, so go ahead and sign in with yours.
All right, now I gotta go back, don't I?
One second here, I'll tell you what it is. Yep, you're using email and password for yours.
Okay. Sometimes I forget what email I use. Okay.
There you go. So can you make your window a little wider? If you can make that Chrome window wider, that would be great. Perfect, right? So go ahead and click on your name in the right corner. And go to team. Right? And then now you have to enter your husband's email in that spot where it says team member. And is this wait a minute, 1 second before you send that. Is this a Gmail or Microsoft-based email account?
It's Gmail.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it? I don't know. You have to tell me.
It is. I'm sorry. I say Chris. His nickname is Chris. He's in the other room. He said it is.
Okay. All right.
And this is what we tried to do before, and he'll get it. And then, shall I check this box right here or not?
Is he going to be pitching for you or pitching for himself?
For me.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead and check the box there.
Okay.
What that box does, guys, is that if you have an assistant and you want them using your branding kit, it will take your information and put over there, so you don't have to recreate it. Right? Okay, so your part is done. Chris, George, Mr. Warden, whatever name you want to go by. Can you share your screen now so that we can get you set up? George, you there? I think you're muted.
You're muted.
Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get that email open.
Okay. Yep. And if you can share the browser window with the email, it may be in the junk folder. If you can check there, that would be helpful.
No, it's not in junk folder here. I just want to, all right, click on the window here. All right, I'm gonna share my screen.
All right. Michelle, good to see you. Dr. Sharon, the self-carepreneur, good to see you.
Good
Happy
to
New
see you
Year
too,
to
Ron.
everyone. Yep. All right. So you've been invited. So go ahead and sign in with the Google where it says sign up with the Google. All right. All right. So now you're in. That easy. Right. So now all you need to do is to click on that orange bar at the end of it says configuration here. Click on the here, and that's where you can connect the email account you want to be sending from for your wife. So this is where you connect the email account you'll be sending from. You all
Of
are all
course, the
set?
reason why we're on here with you.
It was not working before.
It's sending me to a thing where I was like signing up.
We haven't changed anything.
I don't know
So
what
you can't
happened.
say we changed the process. We ain't changed nothing. You know?
Because remember, you had to delete him out for me, and then I tried it again, and it kept asking him to sign up, and I was like, I don't know what we doing wrong. Well, thank you.
You know how it is. You know, I'm glad it worked. You know?
I
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thank you.
me too,
Oh
because
yeah.
I need help with sending out these pictures.
Oh yeah, you all are all set. So once you connect the email, if you click over on branding kit, you'll see that all of Daryl's stuff is already imported in. So if you click on branding kit first before you connect the email on the left, and then if you go into branding kit, all the way at the top, there's one that says my brand. Yep, go ahead and click there. And you'll see we've already brought all of our information in. Does that make sense? So the AI will be using the same information from Daryl's main account, right?
Got it.
There's a photo, everything is already set up. All you got to do is pitch. Got it?
Got it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no problem. This is what we do, man. We're here to solve problems. So let's talk about these goals. Y'all ain't getting away with nothing. We gotta get you towards where you're trying to go. So who wants to volunteer? Because I know some people don't want to discuss this stuff, so I'm not gonna put anyone on the spot. But if you want to walk through it and you want to kind of, we call it the hot seat a little bit. If you want me to help you with the coaching and how we can go about it, then feel free to hop on.
Hi,
All
Richard.
right, Richard.
Yeah, well, I've got a criteria that kind of limits. It's more important than the figure for what I want a revenue in 1 year. I can do two.
You're doing
podcasts.
CEO, right?
Huh?
Yeah, I'm talking with Richard right now.
I could
go
do
ahead.
2
Go ahead.
or 3 podcasts a week.
Okay.
So that's my kind of limiting criteria, really.
Okay. All right. So are you for the year, or what's the overall goal for the end of the year?
Well, you mean in money?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not really looking at that. I'm just saying if I did 2 or 3 podcasts a week and I know you want to work up the figures of people
Oh, no,
because you work backwards. Well, I mean, 50,000, you know.
okay. So let's just use let's go forward, because we can do this either way, right? So you want to be on 3 podcasts a week or 3 podcasts a month? Which one?
A week.
3 podcasts a week, which is 12 a month, right?
Yep.
So it's roughly 12 a month, or over a year's time, 144 podcasts, right? 12 times 12, 144,
Yep.
right? What do you want when you go on those 144 podcasts? What's the outcome that you're looking for?
Well, I guess customers. I was talking to people off LinkedIn today. I've just signed up for premium LinkedIn, which I wouldn't do before, but I've done it. And I'm linking to people all over the world who want what I've got. And I've got responses on their messaging. How can we partner right away? You know, incredible. Well,
And are you
well,
giving your
cost
product
is-
away? Are you giving it away for free or you charge for it?
no, we charge.
Okay, right. And is there a certain amount that you need to sell in order to cover the bills and to pay Allison and pay yourself? Or is
Well,
this just 100% a charity where you're like, hey, if they buy it, great, but if not, that's
oh
okay
no,
too?
no, we have to cover costs. I mean, we also do consultancy in any country. So if they buy the system, we have to get the funding to ship over the consultant to train them up.
Okay, right.
So it's those
So,
two costs.
so let me tell you why I asked that. Because at the beginning, there was no financial goal, right? But those expenses exist whether you set a goal or not. So they force you to have a goal, right? There's certain household bills I got to pay, whether I set a goal for my business or not. They forcing me to, at the minimum, my bills are the goal.
Well, I've never got that far because I don't take a salary right now. So we just exist on expenses.
Okay, right?
Yeah,
That
my
makes
wife
sense.
works, you see, so she pays some of them and I pay some of them. But you know, I don't have an income.
But is that ideal?
No, most charities have income. They pay their staff.
Yep.
Sure.
So why don't we do this? We'll come back to it at another time because I want to use someone that has something a bit more concrete. You got to set a target. And let me tell you why. Because you got to pay the bills, right? And your ideal state in 5 years may not be your ideal state this year, but it needs to be, hey, I got to make this amount on a monthly basis in order to continue to pay for SpeakerHUB, continue to pay for Allison and her time. At minimum, we got to be able to ship people the stuff, manufacture it, pre-order the materials, sell our consultancy. There's a customer acquisition cost with what you're doing. That LinkedIn thing wasn't free. You had to pay for LinkedIn,
Yep. Yep.
right?
That's right.
So those expenses will set a goal for you, even if you
Right.
don't want to set one.
Sure.
Right?
I get you now. Yeah, more. I understand.
Right. So who else
Yeah.
had a number that's kind of hard, like a set number? This is my number I'm driving towards that they're willing to discuss. Jasmine, okay.
So 100,000.
Okay, right. So we got 100,000 as the goal. So I'm going to bring up a page here so we can walk through it together.
Yeah.
Then I'll share this with you. Okay.
Yeah.
1 second. All right. So let me share my screen. So Jasmine,
Get in there.
Dennis, and then revenue goal, 100,000 Canadian or US?
Uh, well, most of the stuff I do US, say 100,000 Canadian,
Okay.
which if it's US, I'll get to that quite easily.
Okay. So 100,000 Canadian. And so that's the revenue goal. What are the revenue sources? What are the things that you do that generate revenue?
Okay, so corporate wellness programs, at least 2 corporate wellness programs, which
Okay.
on
1 second.
average,
Corporate
wellness
wellness.
within the corporation,
And what do you
usually
charge
like
for?
6 months, $30,000 for 6 months of on-site corporate wellness programs.
Okay. And then
So
what's
2
the
of
second thing?
those. Yeah.
Well, let's just get the revenue sources first.
Yeah.
We'll go through how many down the road.
Yeah. And then workshops, 12 workshops at $500 each over the course of the year.
Because that morning I have to be that Wednesday.
Okay.
And then speaking roles and podcasts and association, 30,000.
Okay. So from speaking, what do you charge for your speaking? So I want to look at the number of the revenue where it's all going to come from. We're just looking at the products. What's your product mix?
Okay, so
Do you see what I mean?
yes. Product. So
So
speaking.
you have on-site consulting, which is $30,000. You have
Yeah.
an individual workshop, which is $500. What do you charge for speaking fees?
So for speaking fees, and that includes conferences, associations, and podcasts. So
No, it's whatever you pay
bundle
to
them
show
together.
up.
Huh?
No, if I said, hey, come speak at our conference, what are you going to ask me for?
Oh, 5,000
Okay,
minimum.
right? And are there any other courses or trainings or things of that sort?
Yes.
Okay, what else do you have?
So training, selling training.
Okay, and what do you
Training
charge for one
courses.
session of that?
For one session? I didn't do this.
Yep.
So one
Or it'd be
training
over
session.
6 months. How long is the sessions? Is it a package?
Yes, it's a package.
How much is the package?
The package for 6 weeks, the package,
Mhm.
total package for the training seminars is 7,000.
Okay. Any other products?
Association fee, association.
What do you mean? Tell me.
Well, I should group it on the speaking roles, because when association asks you to speak, it's under the speaking role, right?
Yep. So that could be a range.
So
Right.
arrange for, they don't pay much. Over the course of the year, right?
Okay. So let's stop for a second, because I think this is a great point to clarify. So we all have different products.
Mhm.
So this is beautiful. I'm glad we're doing this today, because this is like the time to do it. Because here's what we start as new entrepreneurs, even if we have experience doing other things and working in startups, when we just doing our own stuff, we're like, holy crap, like I got all these things, but I never really categorized them, right? So when Apple sells the iPhone, right? They have iPhone or whatever you have, right? And let me show you how they do it, because I think this is a great one. Can you all still see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
So when I go over here to Apple, right, and I click on iPhone, you notice how they give me all the different categories of iPhones? So they're very specific about the product. They just doesn't say iPhone. They got iPhone 16, iPhone 16 Pro, iPhone 16 Max. They got all of these different iPhones. That's their product mix. You see how they're very clear about this? It's not just grouping the one thing. So we can't group speaking into all speaking gigs. It can't be associations of podcasts, because they don't pay you to go on podcasts.
That's true.
You see what I mean? In our thing, we're very specific. Conferences, this is how many conferences you should expect. Associations, this is how many associations. This is how many podcasts. Why? Because there may be different fees for each one and different expectations from each one. I make more money going on podcasts than I do speaking live. That's contrary to what most people believe. But I'm better at getting people off of a podcast to come and buy something than getting an event planner to pay me up front. So I have to take that into consideration. Now, Bart may be better at getting someone to pay him up front than getting someone to buy preventative active shooter readiness over a podcast, because that product may be more difficult to sell over a podcast. Do you see what I mean? So we still need to know our own numbers, but we got to be very specific about our products. Because what she was saying, well, I need 2 of these. Well, how do we know? How do we know you need 2 of those? Let's just talk about, what is your fee for that product? When I click on the iPhone 16, right? You see how they tell me the cost of that right front? It's not, well, maybe it's this. No, it's going to be at least that range is $799.
Yeah.
Now it can go up from there. So when I was talking about your speaking fee, it could be a range. Are you willing to accept $1,000 for a speaking fee? Cool. Well, that's your range, 1,000 to 5,000.
Yeah.
But whatever number you give us, that could be the floor. Does that make sense? So let's
Yeah.
go back while we're there. And hopefully that cleared it up, that your product has to be very specific. So on-site corporate wellness, that's a package, right? Right? And do they have to pay up front or do they pay monthly? You're muted. We can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
They, they pay half up front, and I was so into this, Ron. I was so into the numbers here. Ooh. They will usually pay half up front, and half. Some will stagger it, monthly
Okay,
payment.
all right, cool. So we'll just leave it as a group, right? And then for a workshop, if someone wanted you to do a workshop, is this virtual or in person?
Virtual and in person.
Okay, and it's only $500.
$500 virtually, and it goes up to $800 in person.
Okay.
So maybe
You
I
see how
should do
that's a-
500,
You see how that's a
$800.
different product?
Yes.
And $800?
Yes.
Okay. And this is the conference speaker fee or the association speaker fee?
Conference. So I should put 1,000 to whatever, right? Because I would
It's
accept.
whatever. These are your numbers. I won't negotiate your
Yes.
fees. These are yours because you have to own them,
Yes.
right? And do you want to start at 1,000 or do you want to start at $1? It's really up to you. Or you want to start at 10 million?
1,000 to 500. If you put a range on it.
1,000 to 5,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
This
And
year.
what about, and are these live workshops? Is this for an association or what?
The workshops you're talking about?
Yep.
We did the workshops already.
No, I'm saying, is that the same thing as an association or who's calling you in for these workshops?
Oh, the workshop is companies, corporate companies, mostly
Okay.
corporate companies to do the workshops. It could be a wellness workshop. It could be, any kind of workshop.
Okay. Right. So I want to be very specific
Yeah.
because we have different categories.
Yeah.
And then with associations.
Association fees, usually 1,000 to 3.
Okay. Perfect. Right. And then what's this training thing? I can't remember what that was.
Wellness training,
And is that one day? Is that over time?
No, it's a package. A package.
Okay. Perfect. Right. So is this making sense now? Is this more
Yes.
clear about what you offer?
Yes.
Right. Now, so you have to have a goal. You have to have the revenue sources. What are you going to sell? Right. But then you got to have ideal target customer.
Mm-hmm.
Who you selling this to? Right.
Yeah.
So who are you going to sell the corporate wellness to on site?
Corporations.
$30,000.
Or corporations.
Okay.
Any kind of workplace wellness could be an insurance company, could be high pressured lawyers that are under stress. So it's
Okay.
companies.
Okay. So corporations. Now, here's the thing. Where can I go and do a Google search and say, give me all of the companies that have lawyers that are under stress?
We don't usually look at it like that. We assume.
Exactly. So we need to
we
define
assume that they're high stressed.
Okay,
But I think I did do a search and it did come up with anybody in the financial field.
Okay.
And anybody in the legal field.
Let me give you a great example.
Yeah.
A company that just started yesterday, they just launched their law firm yesterday.
Yeah.
They've generated zero revenue. Are they your ideal audience for your $30,000 thing?
No, it wouldn't be the lawyer that just opened his company. It would be an existing company. Like for instance, I did a wellness, the city of Toronto. I got a whole wellness thing for the city of Toronto.
Okay.
in the past. So it could be corporations that I'll be targeting. The banks are pretty very good at that. They
Okay.
want somebody to come in and do workshops.
Is
They
it
have, you
is it
know,
a local branch of a bank, or is it a larger bank with multiple branches? The reason, let me tell you why I asked this, because
yeah.
we're very, watch this. I'm going to LinkedIn. This is really, really, dude, this may be our best session for the year as far as business planning, because this is the stuff that makes the difference, right? Now, watch this. If I come into LinkedIn and I look for in companies in a particular industry, and I say chiropractors just for poops and giggles, right? There's 9,500 chiropractor people that are in there, right? But then now I pick chiropractors. I got to find out, well, which ones do I want to work with? Well, in which country are those chiropractors, right? So now I got to find the geography. And I got to say, well, I only want to work with the ones in the United States. But actually, I can't travel all over the United States. I need the ones in Missouri or in St. Louis where I live, because I got to go to their office. So now that 9,500 is down to how many?
120.
So I would be lying to myself saying that my market was 9,500 chiropractors, because it's not.
No.
It's only those that are in my specific audience, right? But then some of these people don't have any customers. I mean, don't have any employees. They're just starting out. So I don't think the guy who's self-employed is going to hire me. So I got to exclude him. And the guy with 1 to 2 employees probably ain't going to pay 30 grand either. So I got to look at these up here that have more employees. Now my real target audience in St. Louis is only 19. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So we can't just say these generic terms. I sell to businesses. No, you don't. Because I can point that the ideal person that you said, I can show you 1,000 businesses that don't fit your audience. Right? One of the great things about SpeakerHUB is that most people think we work with speakers. We don't. We don't. And we had a huge meeting about this last week with our team. We work with beginning to middle level speakers. And we're very clear that that's who we're targeting. Why? Because the speaker that's already experienced, that's already booked all over the world and working on referrals, they don't want to send the pitches, because they're already used to getting people picking them, and they have their notoriety is already there. Yes, there is a great training on how to use LinkedIn. I'll get you. Can you share with her the interview I did with Chantel? So the upper level speaker doesn't usually want to do the legwork to get more, because they're already comfortable doing well. But to double that, they got to do outbound to get more gigs. And they don't usually want to do that outbound. We've run a bunch of tests. We've tried it. They don't want to do it. So we don't even try to force them to do it. So we target the people that are hungry, that really want to grow the business, because they're willing to say, well, I ain't famous enough to have people referring me. I'm not getting any referrals right now. I got to do something different. And that's what we come to start helping you to build that momentum. Is that fair? So we would be lying to the world saying we can help all speakers. We don't. I'm very clear with telling them, go somewhere else. I want you to be our agent. Nope, we don't do that. Go on over there. Well, I want this, and I'm cool. Go on over there. But for the new speaker, the average speaker that's looking to raise the bar a bit, get more, that's who we help the best. Right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
So our job at SpeakerHUB, most of our customers are new speakers who have never done a speaking gig, because they find how to get speaking gigs, and SpeakerHUB pops up, and they come sign up with us, and they have these dreams, and we help them. Or they're making a transition from corporate over to speaking. So we're very clear. We help 4 groups of people that are new. the entrepreneur who's trying to make more money by speaking from the stage, the educator who's been teaching their whole life and trying to introduce their education to from the stage, the PhD who's done all the research, but they just haven't brought it to the stage just yet. They've just been doing the research, right? Or the new speaker who's just starting. We wrote 4 books for those people, and that's who we target. Everybody that's on here fits in one of those 4 categories. Daryl ain't on here by mistake. She's one of our educators, right? Allison is one of our new speakers. Is this making sense? Leroy is one of our corporate transitioning people. I mean, this, y'all ain't here by mistake. We're cheating. Say Ron is a corporate transitioning person. This is on purpose. So knowing your target audience and who your message resonates with is the most important thing ever. Imagine trying to sell something to somebody that's not interested in what you're selling. You will think that there's something wrong with your product. Yes, it will be available for replay. All of this is available for replay. Every daily meeting is available for replay at the top of the homepage, speakerhub.com. Click view replays. It'll always be available 24 hours after it's recorded. So we want to make sure that you're selling to the people who value what you do. Here's a great story. A dad gave a son a car for his 16th birthday. The son goes to the garage, opens up the garage, lifts it up, sees a junk car. I mean, it's an old car. And he said, hey, son, here's your car. You can drive it or you can trade it in or try to sell it to somebody else. The son looked at the car and was like, Dad, this is kind of some junk. He said, all right, well, here's what you can do. Such and such down the street, he buys junk cars. You can take it to his junkyard and see how much he'll give you for it. But don't trade it in. Just go see what he would give you for it and then come back to me. He takes the car down to the junkyard. The guy said, if you can get it over here, we'll give you $500. If we got to come pick it up, we'll give you $300. If we got to come tow it back to our spot. Came back, he told his dad that. His dad said, all right, cool. Go over to what kind of car you really want? He was like, I want a Nissan. He said, go over to the Nissan dealership and ask them what would they give you for a trade-in for this car. He goes over to the Nissan dealership. The Nissan dealership says, we'll give minimum, we give on trade-ins is $3,000. That car is kind of old, but we'll give you the $3,000 if you buy a brand new Nissan. Right? So he got $300 at the junkyard, $3,000 at the Nissan place. And his dad said, okay, cool. It's getting better. So you're finding that different people see, you can get different things from different people. Take it down. Here's a place. Take it down to this car broker. He works with antique cars and old cars. Take it down there. The son comes back and he said, holy crap. He said he would give us $100,000 for this car as is right now, based on the picture you had. The car didn't change. Just the audience who valued the car changed. A lot of times we're putting our stuff in front of the wrong people. It ain't that what we have ain't that good, is that it's not that good for that person. And that's okay. We're never going to be the right thing for the right people, for everybody, right? But we're going to be the right thing for the right people. We'll never be the right thing for everybody. Let me give you a great example of this. She got a bottle of water. Hold that up. Perfect. This is on you, right? That bottle of water in a 24-pack costs what? $3 in a 24-pack? So like 50 cents a piece? Something like that. Is that fair? Right? If you went and bought that same bottle of water, keep it up there so that people can see it. You bought that same bottle of water in the vending machine outside of Costco, because that's Kirkland's. If you bought that in the vending machine, it's $1. So it's $30 in a pack of 30, $1 in the vending machine. You go to a nightclub, that same bottle of water is $5. Same bottle of water, $5 at the nightclub or at the bar. You get on the airplane, that bottle of water, $15. The bottle didn't change. It's the same freaking bottle, but the audience changed. Do you see what I mean? So if you have something that's unique, be sure to charge the value for it. If there's nobody else that can deliver what you deliver, look, Bart, what is the value of a life saved?
Great question. And depending on who the audience is, that's what I post to them. If they think I'm too high, I do the negotiating thing all the time. And depending on who they are, that's what I have. When I know they have the money, like let's say Oxford University over in England, it's $62,000 or so for tuition. So Al, am I going to come there and say $62,000? No, but I will say that's what your tuition is. So if I save one life, that's $62,000. So you decide somewhere between there, you know what it's going to be. My point is I'm negotiating.
I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to help you sell this.
All right.
Right? Because the value of a life is limitless depending on who loves them. To a stranger, I'm not worth anything. But to my little daughter, she would give anything for me. Right? To the people that I'm responsible for financially, I'm worth a lot to them because their whole lives change if I disappear. That's one way. But you know what happens if there's an active shooter situation on the premises of a business? There's a thing called a lawsuit. And there's liability that is bananas that costs a lot, right? So you know what I would do? I would be targeting insurance companies that provide liability insurance and going to them and saying, hey, I would love to partner with you guys to offer training to your insurance customers so that they can, if they take this training, it lowers their insurance premiums. Think about that.
Well,
That's huge for an insurance company. Because if they go through your active shooter training and they implement what you suggest, it lowers the risk of the probability of that happening on their premises. Think of the value of that from a lower insurance premium, but also lowering the risk of liability of getting sued on the other side. 10 grand don't sound like nothing at that point. Get 4 of your buddies to come in, sell it as a $50,000 training, and it's you and 5 other people teaching it to a large corporation. Is that making sense?
oh yeah.
So the value of what you do, you have to be able to isolate what that is so that you can provide it to the right people at the right price. That makes sense? Now, I'll tell you something that's funny. If you go into the grocery stores here in Columbia, in the States, you go in the grocery store and you go down a bottled water aisle. The whole freaking aisle is just bottled water, right? They got every color, every flavor, every jug size, everything. From the cheap one, that's the Walmart brand, all the way up to Voss in a plastic glass bottle with the silver cap, $9 a bottle, right? Here in Columbia, man, they got maybe you'll be happy if you can find a 24 pack of water. They don't even sell water at the grocery store. It ain't even valued here. Like to try to sell somebody here in Medellin bottled water from the mountain when they live 7,000 feet above sea level already in the mountains is ridiculous. They not buying mountain water. They already got mountain water. Wrong audience. If I try to start a water brand here, I'm wasting my time. Right? So different audiences value things different ways. Got it? So let's go into this a little bit further. Hopefully this is helpful. I know a lot of people have had to bail because of the timing thing. But understanding what your revenue goal is, your revenue sources are your products, right? But then who is your ideal customer for that? I'm sorry to tell you, it's not all corporations. It's not all conferences. I'm going to share this with you, Jasmine. I'll give you the link to it. It's not all associations. Does that make sense? So you got to be able to define what's the
Yeah.
revenue, right? What's the revenue for that person? And I'll give you the link. We use this thing here, right? Paper form. I'll share the link with everyone too, so you all can see this. Because when you answer these questions, 1 second, SpeakerHUB, and I'll just share the link here, right? 5 contacts, because we use this in our other company. 1 second, 5 contacts. And you all can just use these questions. Again, we won't teach you anything we don't do already, right? I got to make that active again, but I'll get it for you. 1 second. 5 contacts, ideal target profile. Watch this. Look at this here, all right? So I got to know what's the industry, what's the revenue, how many employees they got. You ain't doing no wellness workout for a company with 2 employees, Jasmine. Sorry to tell you, right? But then we need to know who's the job title. Who do I reach out to that makes that decision? Reaching out to the janitor to try to get wellness ain't the right person.
Start off with human resources as a doorkeeper.
Right? So, but you see how you got to know that? But what if it's a law firm that doesn't have HR? Like, I don't have anybody in particular that runs HR at SpeakerHUB. Right? SpeakerHUB publicly don't have a CEO because I don't want people spamming me. So we don't even put CEO, founder, none of that. We hide our names because I don't want the goofy emails. But Ange runs HR for us. Right? It's a combination of me doing the interviewing and Angela, me and the team, whoever's hiring doing the interviewing, but Angela doing all the data on the backside. Right? But you got to know what's the department and the title. Who's that decision maker? Where are they located? See that? Blah, 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 right? Location, London. Right? And then what groups can they be found in? Because that's where you're going to go. You can go target those groups, join those groups to find those people. You got to be able to tell in 1 to 2 sentences, what do you do? That's why we put on the homepage in your job description, I help these people to do this thing. Because if you can't describe it in 1 sentence, it's going to be a bad deal. Who are some of your awesome clients? These are the people you're already working with. You can go back and look at and see, well, what department was Bart in? What department did Michelle work in? What department is Richard in? What does Richard do? So now I can fill in some of these questions that I may not have the answer to just by looking at the people who've already bought from me. That's how we knew SpeakerHUB was great for those 4 categories. The educator, the entrepreneur, the PhD, and the new speaker. Because when I looked at the people who bought lifetime accounts and the people who send the pitches all the time, it's those 4 people. The experienced speakers usually aren't sending the pitches. Is this making sense? So let me give you a link to this. I'm gonna put it in the chat so you can use this for yourself in order to understand who your ideal customer is. Right? This is what we use. Right? Now, why is that important? Let me remove the pin. I wasn't trying to pin you, Michelle. But that's really important in finding out who we're going to go after. Because you can pitch all day. And if you pitch in the wrong organizations, wasted time. I was on a call this weekend with Michelle and Ann McNeil. And we found out that Ann was a user of a particular service. And we said, dude, tell people about that. Go on those podcasts. Boom. Made sense. Oh, yeah, she should be going on these podcasts because she's a part of a particular association. But if we don't think through that, well, who are your competitors? We listed out our competitors. Boom. These are the ones she should be going on. But we need to know the ideal audience. Is that fair, Jadika? Is this making sense? Because I think we try to machine gun everybody, for lack of better words. We're going to throw some poop against the wall and see what sticks. Like I did that photo back there. This thing fall off the wall every time I put it up. It's been down for 4 weeks because it won't stick to the wall. I don't know why. The other one's still up there. They ain't fall down yet. But that's kind of how we treat speaking sometimes. Well, I'm just gonna anybody. But no, we don't just want you talking to anybody. We gotta have the audience that wants us the most. Makes sense? Now, I'll give you some advice my uncle gave me. Years ago, this was 2000 and, this is a long time ago, 2009. The girl I was dating, we had been together for 5 years. Eventually, we broke up. And my uncle said, boy, you really liked that girl, didn't you? And I said, yeah, that's why we was together for 5 years. And he said, I remember when you brought her around. I knew she wasn't for you at that time. So I'm going to give you some advice. You ain't got to listen to it. But every time you date somebody going forward, date the person who loves you, not the one you're in love with. You'll eventually fall in love with them. But the first criteria has better be, they better like you more than you like them. That applies to business. You had better find a customer who wants you versus trying to argue with people and telling them that they need to love your product. I don't argue with people about SpeakerHUB. You don't want it, I'm going to send you your money back and kick you out the door. See you later. And when you see all your friends win it on SpeakerHUB, you're free to come back. But I'm not going to fight with anybody about why they should use our product. It's the same thing. But if you find the audience that loves what Jadika has to talk about, you get Jadika's results. I was on this thing and they invited me to do this. I was on this thing and 5 people bought my book. For the first time ever on a podcast, I got live sales because I followed the SpeakerHUB formula and got in front of the right people. And Ron said I should make call to actions more often in the beginning of my speech. That didn't happen by mistake. That's a true story. Go watch 2 episodes ago. Jadika tells that story of how she sold 5. She says, she here, tell her how you sold something live. She says, before the podcast ended, I made sales.
That's exactly what happened. I was interviewed on this, and it was the interesting thing. I was interviewed by a doctor. This was her show. And when I was talking about relieving pain without meds, she related to that. And the people on there were listening. And as we were talking, people started buying the book. And I had never had that. That really surprised me when I kept seeing on my cell phone, a sale just went through a But it happened, and like you said, because I had never, ever promoted the book first. I always waited, like you say, waited until the end. And when I talked about it up front and included it in our conversation, everybody decided, few people decided they wanted to buy the book. So it works. I listen, it works.
That's it, right? So we're going to teach you the things that we're doing that's working. But if we don't know what your goal is, right? If we don't know who your target audience is, if we don't know what your product mix, whether it's the book or whatever, right? How do we effectively attack that goal? I can't go into a battle if I don't know what my weapons are. Well, we might have some grenades. No, bro, do we got some grenades or don't we? I don't know. I don't know. We might. I think such and such gonna bring this. No. At the potluck, I need to know who made the potato salad. Because depending on who made the potato salad, I don't want none of it. Right? Deacon know what I'm talking about. We don't want no potato salad with raisins and cheese in it. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. That's what we were doing with Jasmine, which is taking inventory. And we're in overtime. We're 5 minutes into overtime. But I want to bring this up because this is really important. Now, once you identify who that target audience is, using that link that I gave you, right? And I'm going to put the link here. I put it in the chat, but I'm going to share this template with everybody so anybody can go in and you can put your own stuff in, make a copy of it and do it for yourself. So we got revenue goal, we got revenue sources, which is our products. We have our ideal target audience, which is our customers, right? And then now we need customer source, right? Now, those customer sources could be like Richard said, he updated to LinkedIn. They could also be podcast interviews, associations, conferences, friends, or we should just say personal network. Because we don't have a lot of time, so I got to do this fast, right? That could be friends, family. Now, here's the key with friends and family. Don't offer them your services. If you want to be frustrated, offer your friends and family your services. It's the best way to help friends and family. Ask them if they know anybody who could use your services. Use friends and family as referral sources more than your clients. Does that make sense? Right. Seeing others' goals, we're a charity, we could aim much higher. For instance, Comic Relief said our turnover 200,000 of deploy our equipment all over Africa. Well, minimum you need to be doing is 200,000. Because if you want to hit that, if you want your stuff all over Africa, you need to hit the goals, right? But you can use friends and family and your personal network for referrals, right? But you may have cold email. We use a lot of cold email, cold outreach, where we reach out to strangers and ask if they want to be email, phone, right? Warm outreach, which is what the personal network is, right? But that's the customer source. Advertising, you can run Facebook ads. I bought a speaking course this weekend that said they're going to teach how to get speaking gigs running Facebook ads because I don't know how to do that. So I'm like, well, maybe this is something I can learn. I bought the course. Dude wasn't even teaching that. He was teaching something else. I said, boy, I should ask you for my $27 back. I ain't feel like arguing with him over it, but definitely wasn't. He didn't teach how to get speaking gigs from Facebook ads. That's what he advertised. But when you got into it, he wouldn't even teach you how to get speaking gigs. I won't tell you his name because I don't want to put him on blast, but that course was some trash, bait and switch at best. Facebook ads, Google ads. There's a lot of ways to get customers, if this makes sense. Is this fair? Any questions up to this point, guys? So you got to have your goal.
That's fair. Yes, in breaking it down.
Got to know your product sources, your revenue sources, your target audience you're going to sell these things to.
Yeah.
And then how are you going to get these folks?
Mm-hmm.
I reported.
Now, what's the cool thing about it? Your goal, what you can do is focus on one product. Now, I'm a big believer in one product, one audience, just go in on and one method of reaching them. So if you're saying, I want to get corporate wellness and this $60,000 thing, $30,000 thing, you only need to sell 3 of them, right? Now, but here's the question. I wouldn't do that only. You know why? Because what if it takes 6 months to sell this? How am I eat in the meantime? You see what I mean? That's an elephant. Sometimes elephant hunters got to eat rabbits. Got to eat the little rabbit that's hopping around so you don't starve until that big elephant comes down the street, right? But what can you do? If you got these wellness packages and these one-on-ones, out of associations and podcasts can generate that audience for you. You may go do an association gig and find some of these $3,000 and $7,000 gigs, clients in that room. Does that make sense, Jasmine? So What
does,
you
yeah.
what you have to do is do what we did. Do you remember we created that one document that said this is how long you should expect to get on a podcast. This is how long it takes to get on an association gig. This is how long it takes to get a conference. You need to know your sales cycles for these revenue sources. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? I know how many people visit SpeakerHUB website every day. Right? And then we bought some software that shows us everybody who visits our website, their LinkedIn. So then I go follow them on LinkedIn. Right? Because we need to be able to follow our sources. But I need to know the sales cycle. How many people, if we do a seminar, how many people going to buy the lifetime deal? I got it down to a science. I know exactly how many we're going to sell. Right? Because we follow all of those things. But that's part of setting the goals. So you need to know your sales cycle for each one so that you don't starve chasing these $30,000 things, but you're leaving a bunch of these on the table. Does that make sense? All right, let me show you how we live.
First podcast booked.
Oh, that's good. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So let me show you how we walk it, how we talk it. Right? We may have I think my oh, she hasn't joined yet. But I got a meeting in 3 minutes. But I'll show you how we walk it, how we talk it. Let me show you. Go high level. So this is a bit ahead of time. We'll show you all this because it comes out next week. So SpeakerHUB, here she is right here, Yvette Pegas. SpeakerHUB, we offer inbound and outbound. Someone can get started for SpeakerHUB for free on our inbound plan for as little as $0. But we also know some people just want the silver inbound. They don't want to do any outbound. They just want the profiles. We offer that product, and it's very clear what they get. We know the percentage of people that have these that end up buying this. Does that make sense? So now we have our outbound plan, and it's very clear what you get. And we know how many of these we're going to sell, how many of these, how many of these, and how many of these, because we watch those numbers. When we first bought SpeakerHUB, they had 58,000 customers. Right now, we're over 64,000. How do we take a new business and add 1,000 customers a month? I know a little bit about that because they weren't growing that fast when we first bought them. They weren't converting that many people when we first got them. But we implemented what we were talking about. We had to define the product very clearly, define the target audience, start going after that target audience, following up with those people. Everybody who joins our group, I add them as a friend, right? So I'm not telling you all to do something that we're not living. So I get these messages every day. Let me show you. Hey, I'm passionate about this. See, he's introducing himself because I added him. Hey, I'm a new member of your group. Everybody that joins the group, I send a message. Somebody cold emailed me trying to sell me some stuff. See, let me tell you something. I love when this happens. She sent me this and she like, oh, I can get you more clients. I know she ain't never looked at my profile because she would see, I already know how to do this. So you know what I said? Hey, we're looking for speakers that want to get paid speaking gigs. Let me know if you know someone. You notice I didn't say if she wanted to do it. What did she say? Where at? Cool. You try to sell me and I done sold you. I'm better at selling than what you are, Alyssa. Right? So we will teach you how to do all of this. How do you follow up? This is one of our competitors. I got a meeting with Cam today. I fight our competitors. I invite them to partner with us. Hey, Cam, I see we offer the same software. Let's work together. Remember we talked about that when Frank was online, when Frank came and talked. That's what we do, guys. I want to do a TEDx. Can you help? This is from inbound. We will show you this. Just stick with it. So we're in overtime. I got to end because we have a vet coming on. But this was great. Great way to start the year. Here, let me give you the link to the doc so I can let it vet in. Product mix and goals. All right. And I'm going to share it with everybody so anybody can use it and make a copy. Share with anybody, but everybody can view it. Okay. So here's the link. I'm going to put it in the chat here. So you can use that doc yourself and you all are ready to go. Cool. Was this helpful?
Thanks, everyone.
This was good. Okay. See you tomorrow. We will be here tomorrow. We'll go over this more detail, but this goal setting thing is really important because we got to get it down to the actions. So come back tomorrow and we'll walk through the activity that you need to do.
What about
Fair?
this signing in business? Well, I'll do it on the calendar.
Yep. So
Today.
I have it set up for, we're going to meet in an hour and a half.
Okay, sure.
We have it on the calendar. I'll see you in an hour and a half.